For 27 long years, supersonic travel was real. Then it just disappeared. This is Concorde, a metallic beauty which can cruise up to Mach 2 or twice the speed of sound. Enough speed to get you from Paris to New York in just 3 hours and 45 minutes, which in present takes 8 long hours. It represented power, prestige, and innovation. An innovation that pushed boundaries of engineering, and you can see it in the design itself. Sleek profile, needle-like nose, delta wings, every single thing designed for speed. And then, in 2003, it was gone. So what was the reason? How did we just let it go? The answers lie in the era that created it. It was the Cold War era, when the USA and USSR were locked in a race for technological superiority. One such project was the SST.
These radically different-looking aircraft are the results of their work.
Supersonic transport, a passenger aircraft capable of flying faster than the speed of sound. America selected Boeing 2707 in 1966, designed to cruise at Mach 3, but it never even flew due to it exceeding cost. Meanwhile, the Soviet came up with Tupolev Tu-144 in 1968, which could cruise around Mach 2. However, the Paris Air Show crash severely damaged its reputation, and passenger service ended just years after it began. But while both sides struggled, Britain and France took the win. In 1962, the British and French government collaborated to share the cost of Concorde. The design in itself was out of this world. It had this slender 203-foot fuselage and sharp delta wings to minimize drag at supersonic speed. But this thin wing produced less lift at slow speed, so the Concorde needed a special trick. For landing and takeoff, these jets used droop snoot. A cockpit section would angle down to give runway visibility to pilots. In air, it retracted to be pointy and aerodynamic. When Concorde began flying commercially, its cabin quickly became one of the most exclusive spaces in aviation. After all, Concorde wasn't for ordinaries. The Queen, presidents, pop stars, all big names were the regulars. At 60,000 feet higher than any other airliner, it felt less like a flight and more like a private club moving at twice the speed of sound. So what actually went wrong? On July 25, 2000, Air France Flight 4590 ran over debris on the runway, which caused a tire to burst and puncture a fuel tank. Seconds later, the aircraft was on fire, and all 109 people on board were killed. The crash grounded the entire Concorde fleet for over a year. Although safety changes were made and flights later resumed, Concorde never truly recovered. Flying faster than the speed of sound created powerful sonic booms, loud enough to damage windows and lead to bans on flying over land in the United States. It was also very expensive to operate. The fuel bills were huge, and the aircraft carried only around 100 passengers, compared to 300 or more on a regular wide-body jet. To make up for that, ticket fares were extremely high. A one-way ticket from London to New York cost several £1,000s. And by that time, the 9/11 attacks had already shaken the aviation industry, reducing demand for premium travel and leaving little to no room for Concorde to recover. And by 2003, both Air France and British Airways decided it was time to say goodbye to Concorde, taking its last flight in October 2003. Today, Concorde's airframes are preserved in museum, and engineers still studies its design. For nearly 3 decades, supersonic passenger travel was not a dream. It was routine. Concorde proved that flying twice the speed of sound was possible. But building something extraordinary is one thing. Sustaining it is another. In the end, speed alone wasn't enough. Concorde showed the world what was possible, and also what it would take to make it last. It's very hard to believe that something this massive can even leave the ground. The Boeing 747, which was not fully meant to be passenger aircraft, carried more people than anything else in air for decades. But behind this success was a completely different expectation. An expectation many people think wouldn't last long at all, but ended up being one of the most iconic aircraft in aviation history. The whole concept of Boeing 747 came from a period when air travel demand was increasing rapidly. In the 1960s, most of the air travel was done on Boeing 707, which used these jet engines. These engines were much safer, cheaper, and faster than regular piston engines. But the problem was its size. It just carried around 140 to 180 passengers, increasing the cost per passenger. And by that time, airlines were just not looking for speed, but to scale air travel among masses, which could be only done by increasing seating capacity. The president of Pan American World Airways, one of the biggest carrier at that time, had a vision to transform air travel from something luxury to something more widely accessible. To push his vision forward, Pan Am placed a massive order for 25 aircraft, forcing Boeing to commit to the project despite the enormous financial risks involved. Risk? Yes. At the same time, Boeing was working on another project of supersonic transport airjets, which can fly faster than the speed of sound. And SSTs were expected to be the future of aviation. At that time, no one had ever built a commercial aircraft of this size, and it was an engineering challenge for Boeing. Like, how would they even fit so many passengers? To overcome this challenge, Boeing came up with the idea of wide-body fuselage. A body so wide that it can hold multiple aisles, increasing overall seating capacity. This 747, for its massive size, needed a massive engine, so Boeing and Pratt & Whitney came with this new JT9D engine. By the way, this hump must have caught your attention by now. And there is an interesting story behind it. At that time, SSTs were expected to be the future of aviation, and for that, 747 was being designed with a secondary purpose, a cargo transportation. The cockpit was placed on the upper deck, which allowed loading cargo directly from the front, making it far more efficient for large freight. Finally, in 1970, it entered into service and became the face of long-haul travel. With a capacity of around 400 passengers, it lowered the cost per seat and opened air travel to a much wider group of people. And for the premium seating, the upper deck was taken in use. It had this onboard lounge, this bar area, and even piano area in the American airline. Apart from the luxuries, it helped in standardizing multi-class seating, enabling high-density routes like transatlantic travel. In the early 1970s, its cargo version was launched too, making it highly efficient for transporting large and heavy cargo over distances. Overall, the safety record of 747 was quite decent, apart from a few major accidents, which were linked to external factors such as human error, weather, or security incidents. It was a highly reliable aircraft. And eventually, the very thing that made 747 successful started working against it. Its actual decline began in the late 1990s, when Boeing was manufacturing its new aircraft, Boeing 777, which was powered by twin engines. This plane did the same work as before, but was highly fuel efficient, cheaper to operate, and required fewer engines. This was a massive hit for 747, as it struggled to justify its size and operating costs. At the same time, airlines began shifting towards smaller, more flexible aircraft for direct routes, instead of relying on large hub-based travel. With rising fuel prices and changing passenger demand, the 747 gradually lost its role in modern aviation, eventually being phased out from passenger service. But saying it was the fall won't fit right. After all, it cruised in air for almost 50 years, being one of the most beloved plane by passengers and pilots. And finally, in the end, it closed the loop of its backup plan. After ending its journey in passenger aviation space, it was used as a cargo transporter, and the last 747 was 8F freighter, was delivered in 2023, marking an end to the production of the Boeing 747. If you made this far, please like, subscribe, and comment about the video.